This is Joe with Versatile Hydroponics. We are going to take a look at the Versa Pocket 4-site system. We've got our 5-gallon 4 sites. Maxing side to outside is 31 inches, making it convenient for any closet grows or anywhere you just have a tight squeeze. 5-gallon pop top. It's got a 220 gallon per hour pump. As you can see, we've got that connected already inside, and then that comes out here to our dual ball valve setup here. You might wonder why there's 2 ball valves, but basically that way, if you ever want to change out, as you can see, once you do get it out, you don't have any leakage. Even though our reservoir is completely full, even if our buckets were completely full, we can separate the two without having to worry about much of a spill at all there. That's just a little bit of a convenience factor. Then we go and we've got our 1/2-inch line that comes up to a 3/4 inch by 1/2 inch T that goes and splits. And then we got straight 3/4 inch into each bucket. The way it's set up there, we'll have an even flow, just the way it naturally is built. It should give us no issues. And then we've got our 3/4 inch elbows and T's, and those are tied together, which they'll be come already put together. So you won't have to worry about figuring out which one goes to which bucket. And then those come back to our elbows here, and then ending up back at our elbows to the reservoir. Now, each bucket does have its own personal label on this location. Pocket R1, pocket R2, and pocket L1 and L2. So basically, if you're looking at it from this angle, you're going to be left side, right side, 1, 2, and realistically, that's only there just for design purposes. It won't affect the operational value. If you were to rotate one of them, it just have the labels sticking out in a different manner. We've got a commercial 793 gallon per hour air pump. It's Eco Plus. Those things will run for days and days and days and years. We'll actually show that operating right now. We don't have anything in the buckets, as you can see. We do have the quick connects already set up. So basically with the quick connects, we'll have our air stone, and then we can disconnect it. Our air stone's still intact to our lid. Once ever you're ready, just connect right back. You're ready to rock. And all 4 lids have that feature. The additional out or input is just provided so in case you want to add on or add an additional stone to your system, you sure can. So we're going to go ahead and get started right now. We've got the reservoir full of water. I personally recommend filling the reservoir with all your valves closed. Verify your fittings at the reservoir. Make sure that you've got nothing leaking. And I always like to leave 1 barb showing on the fitting. That way you should have a watertight seal for sure on those. And the only way that I'm keeping the water from here is we've got all the valves closed. So now that we've got that full and we verified our fittings, you can go ahead, open up all these valves, and you can hear them starting to flow into the buckets. And as long as everything is level, the water will naturally balance out. We'll go ahead and start adding more as it starts to drain down. But whatever the water level in the bucket or in the reservoir or whatever bucket, the other 4 will be the same height, and that's just gravity playing a factor. Now this kit also comes with enough rock wool cubes for starting your seed, and enough clay pebbles which have already been pre-rinsed. I recommend highly to thoroughly clean everything before you get started. But just so you know, we did already get rid of that initial dust layer. That can be just messy and a pain in the butt. As you can see here, we are slowly but surely filling up. And how I recommend doing it is once you've got 75% of where you would want the water height to be. And then at that point, then you'll go ahead and start up the water pump. And when you start up the water pump, that will keep the reservoir approximately 2 to 3 inches lower than the other 4 buckets, as that's where our water recirculation starts. But it should consistently stay at that 2 to 3 inches. So don't be alarmed, don't worry, don't necessarily judge the bucket water height solely by what the height is in the reservoir. If you really want to know what it is and you can't get to your buckets at the time, then just go ahead, unplug your water pump, and within a matter of moments, the buckets will balance out and you will have an accurate judgment on what your water height is in all your other buckets. The system comes with the optional choice of tubing, 30-foot roll of either the green gecko, and this is food grade quality, and or the jungle black, which this is just a small sample piece, but you've got the choice of those two. And a new feature that has recently been added, we are starting to add in a top feed hole, optional. We don't provide all the hardware, but it does come with the hole, with the grommet, and I know it's not in there right now, but the elbow fitting, we spin that up, and that way you don't have to worry about the water ever overflowing out of that. If you decide to stick with the undercurrent method. All right, well, we finished filling these buckets up. We will take a quick break and be right back. Are doing an overview still with the Versa Pocket, and right now there is 20 gallons right about, and that has filled the system. That takes the buckets, actually maybe even just a hair more than what we need. Stage, you're gonna want that water height to be right up to the bottom of that lid. And this is the commercial pump right now that we are looking at. This is one of 2 options. And you can see how well that flows. And it's got 6 ports, valved. Right now we're only using 4 of them. And as you can see, the quick connect, as you pull the lid up, the air stone will come up with it, but in most cases there's no real reason to, and if you need to pull it out, then you can just disconnect it first. And option number 2 is the EcoAir 4 Supreme. So the other option is the adjustable EcoAir. That's a 170 gallon per hour pump that's running at 8 watts total. It is adjustable all the way from, well, you'll kind of take a look. That is at the lowest setting versus, we're about a quarter of the way. Now we are maxed out. So there is quite a big jump there. In my opinion, I always just recommend having it wide open. The only time it's going to be a good idea to turn it down is if it looks like the amount of air you're pumping in is becoming evasive to your roots. So that is option number 2 with the adjustable Supreme, a little bit quieter system. And to wrap it up, we are looking here. This is a 220 gallon per hour pump, which I've already mentioned. A little LED light, which I mount it, and you could mount it wherever you want it. It does have a cord that's a few foot long. Put it somewhere where you can always see it, and you know if that's flashing, you've got pump or power to your pump. And if you got power to your pump and you're running off of a power strip, you should have power to your entire system. We're gonna do a water flow test. We're gonna go ahead and dump that food coloring. Actually, let's unplug the air pump so that way we can kind of see full flow of what's going on here. And we will, we've got just the water pump going. I've been asked or told that it doesn't look like there's much airflow or water flow in the system. Well, there's one way you can do it at home, and you can just close your ball valves for the return line and watch that water line come up, and you'll quickly see that it moves more than enough water. But right now, we're gonna go ahead and dump some food coloring into the water, and we'll get a kind of a good idea of how quickly it actually recirculates. So
I have it off right now.
The pump? Okay, yeah, go ahead and add the food coloring. And that should be enough. And let's go ahead and kick her on.
You can see some red coming.
Oh, yep, we got red over here. And actually, it shows pretty good right there. And you got even flows in all the buckets. And that just gives you kind of a good idea of how much water and how the water does flow into the bucket. So we'll just go ahead and keep filming this for a moment, and you can get a good idea. So it basically bang boards off of that back side.
That's all we used.
And yes, there's quite a bit of food coloring left in there. And now the entire bucket has been submerged in red. And obviously that will just recirculate and keep recirculating. Let's see.
Can you see the green coming?
Oh yeah, there, it's really flowing in now. No, that's pretty cool.